So I think we're recording now. Hi. Today we've got another episode of our YouTube channel. I'm really excited. I'm going to be talking to Numan, who is a health and safety consultant at the Spectra group. So he's going to talk to us all about how he started his career with going to college, then followed on to an apprenticeship, and how that's brought him into his current role. Okay, so hi Numan.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you for giving your time to us today. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened for you when you were at school, what you decided to do when you left school? Because a lot of our pupils now are in the position where they're choosing the college options. How did it work out for you, and how did you end up working in the health and safety industry?
So I left school, years back, obviously, not knowing necessarily what I wanted to do. All I knew, I wanted to be a traffic officer or going to the military and be a military officer. So I did uniform public services. A year into that, I thought this isn't for me. I thought, what am I going to do? So I thought, okay, fine, let me go into cybersecurity. Okay. So you can imagine my head were like, what am I doing? So gets home, speaks to my family. I remember at the time, my dad was like, no, you need to stick it out. You need to do what's best for you. So what did I do? I stuck it out, got my qualification in the end, and come at the end of college, I was sat there thinking, I don't want to go to university. It's not for me. So in essence, my entire tutor group at the time were all filling out UCAS applications, deciding college worked out well for them. I'm sat there thinking, this isn't for me. And I stumbled across apprenticeships. So I wish I did that 2 years earlier, to be honest. I wish I skipped college, essentially, in that respect. So I looked into apprenticeships. I stumbled across a training provider, and they invited me in and said, we'd love for you to actually come work for us. So
it is, isn't it? When you're doing an apprenticeship, you've got a lot more, you're learning on the job, you've got a practical thing, and also all of your studies paid for. So when you're making that choice of whether to go to university or carry on, did you do a higher level apprenticeship then?
So I did a level 3 in business admin, or level 2 if I'm correct.
Okay.
I think you've hit the nail there. You're learning and you're getting paid at the same time, and that's what brought me towards, I'll do an apprenticeship in effect. So yeah, I did an apprenticeship, and it's basically all gone heads up since then.
Okay, so what happened then? So you did your apprenticeship. What qualification did you got? You got a level 2 in business administration.
So I did a level 2 in business administration, followed by a level 3. Upon completion, my role was within the health and safety department. So I was basically the administrator for 3 health and safety advisors and a manager, etc.
Okay.
Once I did that, what we did then decided part of my development was to essentially make me into a trainee. So once I got my business administration done, understood the fundamentals of an office environment, how a professional environment works as such, because at 18, 19, you don't know what you're necessarily talking about in some cases.
It's all different, isn't it? You have to wear, you have to get dressed up a
Exactly.
certain way, you can't be late, you've got to arrive on time and build all those kind of skills.
If you spoke to me 5 years ago, this conversation would have been in it. The language difference would have been, you'd have heard me say 10 times, all the units would have been coming out, and well, that's where I learned. It's part and parcel of the process. So in that respect, yeah, I did my traineeship, but I say trainee role, not necessarily a traineeship, in health and safety. So I did a level 3 in health and safety following that.
Okay.
And
what did you learn about them when you're learning the health and safety? What are you learning?
So that were MVQs. So it were competency based, meaning what's the easiest way to describe it? The work you do on a day-to-day, in your day-to-day role, is what they assess, necessarily in some cases. There will be other aspects you would have to obviously learn. But it were mainly stuff like not necessarily legislation, but understanding how health and safety works, how structures work, how you improve, say, a culture from a health and safety perspective, how you monitor it, etc. And I'm talking garbage now, but it is what it is, and there's no easier way to explain it.
So what happens when you every day? What does your day look like? So when you start working in the morning, how does your day go?
So from health and safety, the brilliant thing about health and safety is every day is different, and it is probably one of the roles I genuinely can say that for. I'll give you an example. Yesterday I were at a welding firm doing an audit. Today I were at a pub where they're turning the pub into 3 houses.
Okay.
Tomorrow I could be, I don't know, in an office talking to someone about an accident they've had. So every day is different.
And you go in and you're checking that all the systems are in place to make sure that business is operating safely.
Absolutely. And so I have my day-to-day routine where I go and visit 1 or 2 people a day. But then at the same time, my phone can ring anytime. It could be a client ringing me saying, Numan, I've had an accident, or someone's had an accident, or Numan, we've had an inspection. What do we do? So you're not only there as a support barrier, but you're there to influence positive change, should I say.
Okay.
So every day is different.
And liaise with things like insurance and stuff
Absolutely.
like that. In some sort of accident, you write a report and that gets passed on to the insurance people.
So anything from the council to the health and safety executive to local authority, whatever it may be, or just directors, it's everyone, every day is different.
And what do you like best about it?
What do I like best? I think it's mainly influencing that change, seeing something you've done put into action more than anything else. Meeting new people. I see new people every day, never the same person. I visit different towns every day as well. So I'm not only stuck in one office.
Really interesting. I mean, I'm enjoying doing this now and interviewing people about the different occupations, because literally, sort of when you're at school, you're all doing the same subjects and you're doing your maths, your English, your science, which obviously give you the foundation because you need your English so that you can write reports, you need your maths so that you can measure things, you need your science so you know how things react together. But it's really interesting how the job world literally is so huge and varied, and you don't think of a certain role necessarily when you're at school.
Exactly.
Things that are out there for you. Have you ever received anything that's kind of knocked you back and you've thought, oh, I feel like that was a bit of a kick in the teeth, and how have you overcome that?
So I've had career knockbacks, I've had day-to-day knockbacks. I've been made redundant at 21.
Okay, so how did what happened?
So and that was the first company I worked for as well. So you can imagine, you've worked there 4 years, they've taught you everything, you've become an apprenticeship to health and safety advisor within that company, only for them to tell you, Numan, you're going tomorrow, you're going next month, in simple words. 21, I'm set. And
that's a decision, because being made redundant is not that you've been fired because you've done anything. No. Financial decision made by the company. So unfortunately, they don't have enough money to keep that role going, and that leaves you in.
Absolutely.
So what did you do?
So in simple, I was like, this is the end of the world. What do I do? At 21, you can still go to university, in short. So in that respect, I basically gone to the market, put myself out there. I got myself on social media. When I say social media, I mean LinkedIn in particular. Yeah. Just put one post out saying, I'm being made redundant. Is there anyone out there who can help me? And the amount of support I got at the time was phenomenal. Because at 21, how many health and safety people do you see? Well, very rare. So I had a knock on the door from a well-known major retailer at the time, a well-known high street brand, who said, come work for us. I'm sat there thinking, are you serious? Are you serious? So that were Holland and Barrett. So I basically ended up there, and I got made the offer on my last day.
So you didn't actually spend any time not being employed. And that really shows the resilience and how proactive you were, because even though you took that knockback, you went out and you looked for something else. And I think that's really important, isn't it? You've got to not let that mean that you stay at home in bed. You've got to.
Absolutely. I think it's important you know your worth, especially in the role you do.
And so now in the company that you're working for, you're working with Spectra now, who actually work quite closely with our school. What opportunities do you have for progression?
So in terms of progression, so I think most people will have an annual development plan. So I'm currently studying my level 5, which basically gives me bigger letters after my name. And that's where I want. So I think I'm expected to complete my level 5 in April. level 5 in occupational health and safety.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing at the moment, and there's other elements like learning off other experienced people within the company so I can tap into niche fields. There's always opportunity for improvement in my industry, because the industry is so broad, you can tap into various sectors. So if I wanted to go learn about construction, I can happily do so, or fire, whatever it may be. I can always go and knock on the door and say, can I learn about this tomorrow? Can you put me on a course for this, for example? So
and,
I'm fortunate.
and in terms of earnings potential, do you potentially go up then every year?
Absolutely. So, for example, right now I have a level 3 under my belt. Having a level 5 would only deem me more competent in an employer's book, should I say. So your level essentially increases. The bigger letters I talked about, that's basically me being a more experienced person, recognized as such. So with that comes a price, obviously, and somebody has to pay.
Okay. So what advice would you give to someone who was considering a career in health and safety now? What would you advise them to do? Because you think about people who are taking the GCSEs, what would you say?
I think nowadays there's more room to get into the industry. There's traineeships, there's apprenticeships, you can go to college, you can do it. Back when I started, there was nothing. You have to understand that. So I think nowadays it's especially important to understand it is what you want to do to some degree. I'm not saying you're going to love every part of the job, but you need to understand some elements of the job. Good attention to detail. You need to be patient, especially in my role, because the amount of people that will say no to you, and you've got to convince them to be trying to tell them.
Okay.
So in that respect,
in some ways you've got to play the bad guy, don't you? You're going to have to do this.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't want to do this. That's
you're not the most liked person in a building occasionally.
Yeah.
So you have your battles, which you will fight and you will win. But it's know your worth, meaning you don't necessarily, you're not in the right, the customer's not in the wrong. You need to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
So in that respect, it's 50-50.
And when you're talking about knowing your worth, I mean, if somebody wanted to apply for a CV for an apprenticeship now, what kind of things should they be putting on the CV to sell themselves? What kind of things should they be saying to build their own personal brand?
So I always say when I look at my CV, my first 2 statements sell me.
Okay.
So the first 2 statements, if I send you my CV and you look at my first 2 statements, you will know what I am about and what I am going to achieve. And I think that is so important. So describing yourself, I'm not talking about playing PlayStation or watching Netflix. I'm talking about what makes you different and what you can bring to a workplace, for example. Mm-hmm. So I think that is really important in that respect.
And I think being confident to say that, because I think sometimes, people do feel a bit like, oh, well, what's so great about me? But you've got to have that confidence, because that's what employees want to see. They don't want you to come into the work, they want you to go out and sell their business. You're representing them, so they want you to be confident in yourself, because then that's going to only do them good when they're being represented in the workplace.
Absolutely. I think you are right in that respect, where everyone is different. You're there to sell yourself at the end of the day. Everyone has a place. If one employee doesn't like you, the next one will. So you have to be persistent in that respect. And you have to keep going, because you will have setbacks. So you literally have to keep going, because somebody will knock on your door. You will find whatever it is you want to do in that respect.
Okay, that's excellent. Thank you very much for your time today. Is there anything else that you'd like to add for us?
Not necessarily, no.
Well, thank you for your time. And if anybody does have any questions or anything, what I've just said is, if they come to me, I can always just forward those questions on. I've got your email address, and if they want to know anything else, we can always just pass the messages on that way.
No problem.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Brilliant. Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you.